Good evening, everyone. Today, I have the proud privilege to extend a warm welcome to the third chapter of Open Mic, a Battle of Oratory Skills, a series of virtual sessions initiated by Takshila Educational Society to further ideas that foster critical thinking, self expression, and ingenuity to facilitate a better understanding of our world and its challenges. On this propitious day, I extend my warm greetings to the receptive audience virtually present with us on this amazing rostrum. I cordially wish our guests of honor, the illustrious judges, acclaimed invitees, diligent teachers, and of course, our very insightful participants and students. It is indeed a delight to welcome you all to this momentous occasion intended to channelize and showcase the verve our nascent yet resolute young orators possess. At DPS, we always try to generate opportunities to create a conducive atmosphere for our students to hone their prowess in various arenas of creative expression. Takshila Open Mic, a battle of oratory skills, is an endeavor in the same direction. Today, on the final day of this 3-day event, we are delighted to present the debate competition where students of classes 9, 10, and 11 from Delhi Public School, Patna, Pune, Ludhiana, and Coimbatore will take center stage to propose and oppose the motion mental wellness overrides all other forms of wellness. The participants will propagate diverse thoughts, themes, and perspectives on the motion. To judge these budding speakers, we have a panel of eminent personalities from the world of language and literature. We have here with us today Dr. Rachel M. Silas. She is an associate professor at Avinashalingam Institute for Home Science and Higher Education. In addition to more than 40 publications, she has been an active researcher and has received the Best Paper Award at the National Conference on Language and Literature. Her specializations include eco-criticism, American literature, and children's literature. She has also organized numerous induction programs and workshops. She has facilitated and given lectures on various topics in government and private colleges. With her on the panel is Ms. Pooja Dhawan, who has served at Army Public School Faridkot as the head of the department and the vice principal. At present, she is teaching as a PGT English in British School, Panchkula. Ms. Dhawan has been a part of numerous well-developed creative and public speaking competition. Amongst many of her achievements, she has been awarded the Best Teachers Award for the academic session 2013 and 14 in Army Public School Faridkot and also has received an appreciation letter from HRD Ministry, Government of India in June 2015. We also have amongst us Ms. Preeti Khanna, the erudite ex-principal of Euro School, Pune. She is a postgraduate in history and education, along with being a qualified textile designer. She has been honored with Rashtriya Shikshak Samman Award and Rashtriya Seva Samman Award. The Uttar Bharatiya Sangh felicitated her with a Gaurav Patra for her dedicated services in the field of education. She is also the recipient of the Merit Certificate from HRD Ministry for excellent results in class 12. We have another scholar here today, Dr. Nutan Chaudhary. She is the Assistant Director in Amity Institute of English Studies and Research, Associate Professor of English, and the Chapter Head of English Language Teachers Association of India. She is a celebrated author of the Amazon bestseller book, Poetic Pigeons. An experienced teacher and trainer, she has been conferred with National Literary Award by New Delhi International Literature Festival and Mithila Vibhuti Samman by Antarrashtriya Mithila Parishad for her exemplary contribution in the field of literature and education. She's also the founder of Zenith Books Club, which got associated as the academic partner of Amity University, Patna in the year 2017 under the CSR project of Amity University, Patna. I accord a genial welcome to all the estimable judges. Before we get to have a good discernment of the rules of the debate competition, please let me enunciate that the order in which the teams will speak and who interjects which team has been decided through a draw of lots earlier. The rules for the event are: each speaker for and against the motion will get 3 minutes to present his or her views. The interjector will get 1 minute to interject each speaker from a particular team, and both question and answer will have to be over within that minute. So, short, pithy questions from the interjectors and no counter questions, but crisp answers from the respondents are encouraged. The respondents are expected not to ask any counter questions. We are now all set to debate on the floor of the House on the motion, mental wellness overrides all other forms of wellness. And I invite the first speaker, code F01, to present her views for the motion. Code F01.
Cannot move. I have to speak through a computer. In my mind, I am free, stated Stephen Hawking. He didn't close his mind when his body failed, but he proved that it's about the will to live and work only through one's mind. Disdain his paralysis and powerlessness to live without external support. An absolute example of what mental wellness can do. My warm greetings to all the people virtually present with us. I strongly support the motion, mental wellness overrides all other forms of wellness. What do you think of when you hear the word health? Most of our brains automatically think physical health. Exercising, healthy eating, drinking water, etc. Don't be fooled by its name. Health is the positive state of mental wellness and much more than the absence of mental illness. The mortality rate from cancer is higher among the people with depression or other mental health conditions. The mortality rate from cancer is higher. About 1 in 5 people in the US struggle with their mental health. The economic loss due to mental health conditions between 2012 to 2030 is estimated to be 1.03 trillion US dollars. Isn't it alarming? Have you heard of the term retail therapy, when you shop to feel better? A study shows that 72% of shoppers buy just to cheer themselves. But in the long run, you realize that it is your robust mental state that impacts your ability to manage money wisely. A mental blanket is integral in taking care of financial needs too. Now, let us talk about someone who is a Bollywood heartthrob, someone who we all can relate to. She featured in listings of the nation's most popular personalities. Fame and financial wellness has been on her side. Being consecrated with gorgeousness and regular workout shows she is physically fit too. Yes, I'm talking about Deepika Padukone. Then too, she said, I woke up one morning just feeling empty. You know, like this pittish feeling in my stomach. I woke up feeling directionless. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. And I had these bouts of feeling so low that I would just start crying at the drop of a hat. That is what absence of mental wellness does. It destroys you. Peak of career, name, fame, nothing hold value if one isn't mentally well. Mental wellness does, surrounds us, and is a thread that binds all other forms of wellness. What mental health needs is more sunlight, more candor, and more unashamed conversation. With this view in mind, I rest my case.
Now, To interject F01, I invite interjector code I01. Code I01.
Good evening, honorable members of the jury and esteemed audience. I am code I01 and I have a question for code F01. Don't we all know that to be mentally healthy, one should be able to socialize normally, stay actively engaged in various chores, have a logical approach towards day-to-day matters, and also be composed and optimistic. This indirectly refers to social well-being, emotional well-being, physical well-being, and so on. Then, how can you say that mental well-being overrides all other dimensions?
My dear interjector, the road to mental wellness is not an easy journey. The stresses and obstacles of day-to-day life have created a mental health epidemic. But when your mental wellness is at peak levels, the challenges of life become easy to overcome. Whether young or old, the importance of mental wellness cannot be underrated. So, your mental wellness needs to be in place foremost. Thank you.
It's time for A01 to put forth his arguments against the motion. Code A01.
In a world still gripped by the pandemic, the humanity is under immense pressure to care for well-being. Everyone from Hollywood to Wall Street is talking about wellness. And wellness, that is top of the town, is mental wellness. The common notion that mental health is a prerequisite to achieve salubrious and jubilant life is nothing but a paradox. Good evening, honorable judges, esteemed audience, and my fellow opponents. I'm in the House against the motion to give a clear verdict on the claim mental wellness overrides all other forms of wellness. Wellness is the complete integration of body, mind, and spirit. The realization that everything we do, think, feel, and believe has an effect on our state of well being is pivotal. My dear audience, our mental wellness is not a static state of being. Rather, it is a lifelong process and a proactive strategy to strengthen our physical, emotional, and social resources. Prioritizing one and ignoring other would be a huge error. Let me ask a question to all mental health enthusiasts first. If you are crippled or bedridden, will your mental health actually be sound? Or what if you have high grade fever? Will your intellectual abilities actually work at par when your body is sweltering? Amongst the elderly riddled with pain and disease, mental wellness is a far fetched dream until all other dimensions are in place, isn't it? Research states that nearly one in three people with long term physical health condition also has a mental health problem. To attain mental well being, one must foremost concentrate on physical wellness and nullify the belief that mental wellness is of supreme importance. Having a healthy body, supportive social network, and spiritual contentment allows us to develop a positive mindset and to be at peace. It transforms us into our best version. Wellness is content, self-directed, and evolving process where each dimension of well-being is equally vital in the pursuit of optimum health. The quote, mental health is not a destination, but a process, justifies my proposition. Yes, we need wellness from different horizons to make it a complete package of health and happiness. It is up to you today to start making healthy choices. Not choices that are just healthy for your mind, healthy for everything else too. The decision is yours. I rest my case.
Interjector I01 to question A01. Code I01.
Good evening, honorable members of the jury and esteemed audience. I am code I01 and I have a question for code A01. According to you, Mental wellness is not the most important dimension, but all faculties individually need to work in unison. Imagine a prisoner of war returning safely to his motherland. He is now respected in society and secured a government job, so is financially sound as well as being physically fit. However, mentally in shock and discomfort. At this juncture, don't you think that mental wellness surely overrides all other faculties, since this man will never be at peace to enjoy the fruits of his labor and navigate through daily life in a normal manner? And please elaborate.
Certainly, I welcome your question. To state that mental wellness is the top tier form of wellness would be nothing but a hyperbole. Working on your physical condition will not only add years to your life, it will also enlighten your mood and prevent mental illnesses. Wellness is the holistic integration of physical, emotional, social, and spiritual well being. I am sure with this justification, I have validated my proposition.
Here is an invitation for code F02 to take the floor. Code F02.
Good evening, respected judges, worthy opponents, and erudite audience. I will be speaking for the motion mental wellness overrides all other forms of wellness. You must have come across the quote, a sound mind promotes a sound body, and that will be the basis of my argument. Being mentally fit directly impacts all other forms of wellness, such as emotional, physical, financial, etc. Mental wellness is how you think, feel, and act. In mental is how you think, feel, and act. Being optimistic, radiating positivity, and calmness are all signs of a mentally strong person. They're also emotionally balanced, as they know what makes them happy and cheerful and what causes displeasure. Instead of reacting to situations and regretting for their actions later, a composed person will handle the issue calmly, bearing the consequences in mind. They are also more sought after by in their social circles during times of depression and unrest, as they can see clarity in clutter. I would also physical limitations such as limited mobility cannot limit the growth of determined people. When speaking of this, we are reminded of Sir Stephen Hawking, diagnosed with ALS at the young age of 21. The doctors predicted that he had only 2 more years to live. Despite this obstacle, he died at the age of 54 as a reputed cosmologist. I'd also like to throw light on how mental wellness can protect our financial wellness during times of adversity and financial insecurity. During COVID times, we saw that many people lost their jobs and landed in unemployment. During such times, people tend to feel helpless. A calm and sanguine mindset will guide us to look ahead for better opportunities with the gained experience. This is how many entrepreneurs were born. I'd like to conclude by saying mental wellness is the lighthouse that guides all other forms of wellness. Thank you.
The next interjector, code I02, will question F02. Code I02.
Good evening. My question is for code F02. Don't you think prioritizing mental wellness above all other forms of wellness is an inconsistent thought? How can you think of creating a best version of yourself with an unhealthy body, disrupted social relations, and spiritual discontentment?
Dear interjector, mental wellness will guide you during such times when you're feeling low, insecure about yourself, and are disconnected spiritually. It will motivate you to look ahead, to take care of yourself, go for a workout, and maybe connect to your heritage. I hope that answered your question. Thank you.
Now, code A02 would get to oppose the motion. Code A02. Code A02.
Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity, says the World Health Organization. An excellent evening to the panel, the house at large, ladies and gentlemen watching from home. I'm here to argue to the general conscience against the motion that mental wellness overrides all other forms of wellness. I'll start by bolstering what the proposition is trying to state. Vidali said mental health is significant over all other forms of wellness in an entity's well-being. The happenstance of intelligent discourse to debate this topic per se is antithetical. Nevertheless, this is not an argument that mental wellness is intrinsically insignificant and not about the calamitous. At the risk of stating the obvious, it is not the only factor that determines overall health, and it isn't the most important, with the proposition being misguided. Our existence in a world where an economic niche exists proves that financial eudaimonia, if anything else, should override all other forms of wellness. There exists research that concludes with the clear existence of a strong connection between financial and mental wellness. Switching gears, physical wellness, often the yin to mental well-being's yang, is undoubtedly primal if mental wellness is dominant to well-being. Physical exercise plays a crucial role in elevating mental wellness, releasing endorphins, and reducing stress levels. Thus, they are inseparable and interconnected hours. Elon Musk is an exemplar of the interplay between physical and intellectual wellness. Despite being known for his relentless work schedule, Musk has also been open about taking breaks and engaging in physical activity to maintain optimal health. Speaking of Musk, Tesla recently announced the Mega Factory, which will help speed the transition to renewable energy, bringing me to environmental wellness. Our generation, as a lot of people have pointed out, is amidst a mental health crisis, and causative factors include global warming, climate change, and equity undeniably. It is important to look after one's emotions while looking only after our own needs. That is to say, the emotion of comfort has led to the systemic inequalities and problems that we have and unfortunately face today. Environmental wellness is important now more than ever, let alone physical wellness. Ignoring any aspect can harm others, creating a vicious cycle of ill health. All major health organizations conclude that well-being is composite of many forms of wellness. Prioritizing mental wellness above all others is counterproductive, as ignoring other aspects negatively impacts mental health itself and has also and unfortunately will lead to the social and environmental injustices of poverty and climate change. I'll conclude by highlighting the interdependent nature of all forms of wellness and emphasizing that a holistic approach is necessary for sustained overall wellness. Focusing solely on mental health, the state of society will deteriorate. Sustained wellness is just not about the mind alone. It is about environmental conservation, financial stability, and the health of our communities. A healthy environment, economy, and society are interconnected and interdependent. This nail in the coffin point should convince you, and thus
I think we lost connection with code A02. Code A02. So we'll call upon code A02 and code I02 a little later. And now we can proceed with code F03. Code F03 to put his views for the motion. Code F03.
Yes, ma'am. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. A very good evening to members of the jury and my fellow debaters. I stand before you today in vehement solidarity of the motion. Reverting to my opening statement, as rightly said by Greek Stoic Marcus Aurelius, it is our control over our mind that has enabled us, the Homo sapiens, to conquer things beyond our physical capabilities. To fully grasp the implication of intellectual wellness, one must acknowledge it as the backbone of the widely connected spectrum of wellness itself. Mental well-being influences and in turn is influenced by physical, financial, social, environmental, occupational, and cultural wellness. It enables in us recreation as social confidence, critical thinking, willpower, strength, and above all, creativity. Human ingenuity supersedes physical accomplishments, making it the most important proprietor to progress itself. I neither question nor deny the importance of other forms of wellnesses, but simply cite mental wellness as the most essential. but without it, we wouldn't have had the commendable willpower put forth by Stephen William Hawking, which enabled him to contribute the most rational theory of existence to the scientific world. And in no way would it be justifying the never say die spirit put forth by Paralympic athletes. Mythologically, we cite the example of Shakuni, physically handicapped, yet the greatest strategist known to the pages of history. So was the case with Ashtavakra, whose physical distortion never came as a barrier to his razor-sharp intellect. It is socially evident that a cognitively unwell person is unable to practice proper hygiene, self-care, nutrition, rest, and exercise. Mental wellness is a two-way street, my fellow debaters, ongoing, mutual, and complementing all aspects of life, opening avenues hitherto barren, ushering humanity towards progress. Therefore, to question the prowess of mind over muscle and brawn over brain is nothing short of committing an intellectual harakiri. It is man's sheer willpower that has enabled mankind to become the master of the universe. Have the courage to look within, not without, my fellow debaters, and believe me, everything else will fall in line. Believe me, friends, you have powers you never dreamed of. You can do things you never thought you could do. There are no limitations in what you can do except the limitations of your own mind. And with that, I rest my case here.
Interjector I03 to put forth his queries to F03. Code I03.
Good evening. My question is to F03. Day by day, our environment is degrading due to factors such as global warming. Shouldn't our environment be given more importance than our mental state for the greater good? Give your views on this.
Madam Interjector, I would like to implore you to an extract of my stand where I neither question nor deny the importance of other forms of wellnesses, but simply cite mental wellness as the most essential, for it forms the backbone of the widely connected spectrum of wellness itself. Humanity's progress is believing, beckoning, and becoming. The road to comforts and stagnation is lovely, dark, and deep, but humanity's strength has promises to keep, and miles to go before it sleeps, and miles to go before it sleeps.
To oppose the motion, I invite A03 to the virtual podium. Code A03.
Thank you, ma'am. It is not death which a man should fear. He should fear never beginning to live. Good evening to the jury members and fellow debaters. I stand before you today to strongly oppose the motion of the House. The world that we live in has us bound by the shackles of momentary pleasures, of instant gratification. From every book on the newsstands to the hordes of wellness gurus, all aim to provide us with a panacea to our life's problems by making us adapt some form of mental fortitude, be it yoga, meditation, or introspection. But, my dear friends, when almost the entire populace finds it a struggle to get out of bed, let alone lead a half-respectable life, then can meditation alone truly lead to our well-being? Our life, we must realize, is a wholly woven interconnected web where changes in one facet leads to ripples in all the others. Then, to oust a single facet taking precedence over everything else, is this not foolish? But behind the success of just one Stephen Hawking's, we must not forget the thousands of others, like John Keats and Ramanujan, who died prematurely because of fever, fret, and fatigue. I repeat, true wellness calls for the holistic improvement of the man. Take just a mere glance at all the cultures of the past, be it the Oriental tradition of the yin and the yang to the Hellenistic traditions of yore, where the Greek tragedians emphasized that for a man to attain true wellness, he must strive for the interplay of all aspects of his life, be it the physical, social, spiritual, financial, or mental. For mental wellness and meditation are a meta skill which improves all other aspects of our lives. But, my worthy opponents, what good is mental well-being when our physiques are out of shape? What good is mental well-being when we cannot maintain lasting relationships? I repeat, what good is mental well-being when we intoxicate ourselves with carnal desires and pleasures on the daily? For what are depression, anxiety, or stress, these so-called mental illnesses of yours, then our own bodies revolting against our minds, proclaiming that some things need fixing. For one can never be truly well by just taking a decision to do so one fine day. For every day is a challenge that beckons us to overcome it. The path to a better life is a long, winding, and tumultuous one, my dear friends. But what options do we have? It's either strive or stagnate, perform or perish. But sometimes, as Albert Camus would say, the struggle itself towards the heights is enough to fill a man's heart. With that, I rest my case here. Thank you.
Interjector code I03 will question A03. Code I03.
Good evening, A03. My question for you is, the mental well-being of a person does not just affect the individual, but the people around him. For instance, a parent taking his stress on their child affects not only their relationship, but also the mental health of the child. What is your opinion on this?
Madam Interjector, I don't deny the importance of wellness or even mental wellness. I merely instigate in my argument that true wellness calls for the holistic improvement of the man. And for that, one must go through a period of struggle, through a period of labor to finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. Even the child must struggle through a period that is dark and delirious to finally achieve a better life. For even the great Buddha wandered through years before finally attaining enlightenment. And as the words of Dante go, Madam Interjector, that the path to paradise begins in hell. With that, I hope I'll answer your question.
Next to come forward will be code F04 to speak for the motion. Code F04.
It is not the bruises of the body that hurt. It is the scars of the mind and the wounds of the heart. Good evening, honorable members of the jury, esteemed audience, and my worthy opponents. Today I stand wholeheartedly for the motion, mental wellness overrides all other forms of wellness. When asked, how are you? The most common answer is I am fine, which people relate to physical wellness. But my dear friends, mental wellness is about interacting well, an overall state of well-being. So, are we mentally and physically fit? For example, Nick Vujicic, who was born in Australia with no arms and no legs. Nick too could have ended his life out of frustration, but it was his mental wellness that kept him going. And that is the reason why he is one of the highest paid motivational speakers of the world today. Now, mental wellness is a priority and needs to be prioritized in the early years to avoid any kind of mental health issues. My dear friends, it was the death of the famous singer Karen Carpenter which made the world aware about the importance of mental wellness. While Karen looked completely fine, emotionally and physically, she suffered from an eating disorder called anorexia nervosa, which reduced her down to skin and bones later, and she succumbed to it. Lack of mental wellness did not only affect her occupation, but also ruined her emotionally. That is why I strongly believe that mental wellness is capable to jeopardize all the 8 forms of wellness. Coming to the statistics, according to UNICEF's findings, 1 out of every 7 teenagers in India lack mental wellness, and only 41% of them felt that they should reach out for support. Today, nearly 1 billion people suffer with mental health issues, and in low-income countries, more than 75% of them do not even receive any treatment. I would like to tell my worthy opponent that physical and intellectual wellness can be improvised. Social and occupational wellness can certainly be realized, but a degraded mental wellness is like a one-way traffic, and under no condition can be recovered that easily. Have you seen the engine driving or steering the number of compartments of a train? The same way, the mind, the brain, mental wellness also drives all the other dimensions of wellness.
Mental wellness brings happiness. It makes life worth living. I can cite numerous examples of high-fi models who are physically fit, good-looking, and people idolize them. But they also commit suicide. And the reason? Absence of mental wellness. Mark my words, mental wellness overrides all other forms of wellness. I rest my case here. Thank you.
Interjector code I04 to question F04. Code I04.
My question is to F04. Madam Speaker, you claim that mental wellness should be prioritized, but then why are there physical assessments for the armed forces or any such crucial occupation throughout the world? Does this not mean that the other facets of mental wellness are equally substantial? How do you justify your stand then?
Thank you so much for your question. My dear interjector, let us understand what is mental wellness first. It simply does not imply being free of anxiety, depression, or mental illnesses. It is about being able to overcome hardships and challenges in life. I would like to give you the example of an assistant sub-inspector of IRB, India Reserve Battalion, who went on a killing spree at Tound near Pune and killed 3 people on 16 January 2018. So a man who was physically, occupationally, and financially fit shocked the world with his erratic behavior. The protector turned out to be the killer. So my dear interjector, don't you feel all the other forms of wellness is a waste if one does not have mental wellness? Yes, and I still stand strong with my opinion that mental wellness overrides all other forms of wellness. Thank you.
We now have code A04 to oppose the motion. Code A04.
Wellness is like the palm of our hand, and the dimensions of wellness are like our fingers. We say that no finger is more important than the other. Then how can we say that any one dimension of wellness overrides the other? Good evening, honorable members of the jury, esteemed audience, and my worthy opponents. Today, I will be speaking against the topic, mental wellness overrides all other forms of wellness. While it is true that mental wellness is an integral and crucial part of a contented and joyous life, but saying that it is of more significance than all the other types of wellness could be called a little disproportionate. Take an example of a person who's not well financially and physically. There are high chances that that person becomes the victim of a mental disorder. Here, not being well in 2 forms of wellness led to poor mental health. And after that, it's just a matter of time before all the dimensions of wellness too get into limbo. And this creates a vicious cycle. Let's take a scenario in which a person is mentally well, but they live in an environment that's grim, or if they're socially not up to par. Then what is the relevance of mental wellness anymore? Sooner or later, their mental health status, along with all the other dimensions of wellness, is bound to suffer. It's like a domino effect. I would like to ask my worthy opponent, is physical wellness not as important as mental wellness? That false, that empty pockets hurt just as much as mental scars. Is a socially nourishing life not essential to be mentally well in the first place? Do you think it's even possible to be mentally well without being optimistic and spiritual? No, it's not, because there is a correlation between all the dimensions of wellness. Not being well in any one dimension can and will cause suffering to the other dimensions of wellness. There's a reason why the pie chart of wellness is divided into 8 equal parts. It symbolizes the fact that all the dimensions of wellness are interrelated and that none of them can be neglected. To conclude, I would like to say, just the way the engine of a car cannot override any other part of the car, mental wellness too cannot override any other form of wellness. I rest my case here. Thank you.
Now, I invite interjector I04 to question A04. Code I04.
My question is to A04. Madam Speaker, today when the entire world from Virat Kohli to Selena Gomez is highlighting the paramount importance of mental wellness, then aren't your arguments against it conspiring for a future that is dark, depressive, and delirious? What is your take on this?
Thank you for your question. But my dear interjector, I'm afraid I can't quite agree with your opinions. Wellness is like the colors of a rainbow, with each color having its own significance. If any one color is removed or discolored, it will not look good. Likewise, all the dimensions of wellness are equally as important. The biggest reason of stress in a person's life is either that of finance, health, a social issue, and so on. And their emotional, social, or even intellectual well-being allows a person to deal with life stress. To sum up, I would like to say, the symbiotic relation between all the dimensions of wellness is what makes human life complete and fulfilling. Thank you.
Now, we call upon code A02 once again to oppose the motion. Code A02.
Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity, says the World Health Organization. An excellent evening to the panel, the House at large, ladies and gentlemen watching from home. I'm here to argue to the general conscience against the motion that mental wellness overrides all other forms of wellness. I'll start by bolstering what the proposition is trying to state. Vidal said, mental health is significant over all other forms of wellness in an entity's well-being. The happenstance of intelligent discourse to debate this topic per se is antithetical. Nevertheless, this is not an argument that mental wellness is intrinsically insignificant and not about the calamitous. At the risk of stating the obvious, it is not the only factor that determines overall health, and it isn't the most important, with the proposition being misguided. Our existence in a world where an economic niche exists proves that financial eudaimonia, if anything else, overrides all other forms of wellness. There exists research that strongly concludes with the existence of a strong connection between financial and mental wellness. Switching gears, physical wellness, often the yin to mental well-being's yang, is undoubtedly primal if mental well-being is dominant to collective well-being. Physical exercise plays a crucial role in elevating mental wellness, releasing endorphins, and reducing stress levels. Thus, they're inseparable and interconnected halves. Elon Musk is an exemplar of the interplay between physical and intellectual wellness. Despite being known for his relentless work schedule, Musk has also been open about the need to take breaks and engage in physical activity to maintain optimal health. Speaking of Musk, Tesla recently announced their mega factory, which will help speed the transition to renewable energy, bringing me to environmental wellness. Our generation is amidst a mental health crisis, and causative factors including global warming, climate change, and equity undeniably. It is important to look after one's emotions, but looking only after our own needs. That is to say, the emotion of comfort has led to the systemic inequalities and problems that we have and unfortunately have to deal with today. Environmental wellness is more important now than ever, let alone physical wellness. Ignoring any aspect can harm others, creating a vicious cycle of ill health. All major health organizations conclude that well-being is composite of many forms of wellness. Prioritizing mental wellness above all others is counterproductive, as ignoring other aspects negatively impacts mental health and has also led and unfortunately will lead to the social and environmental injustices of poverty and climate change. I'll conclude by highlighting the interdependent nature of all forms of wellness and emphasizing that a holistic approach is necessary for promoting sustained overall well-being. Focusing solely on mental health, the state of society will only deteriorate. Sustained wellness is not just about the mind. It is about environmental conservation, financial stability, and the health of our communities. A healthy environment, economy, and society are interconnected and interdependent. This nail in the coffin point should convince you, and thus I vehemently oppose the motion and rest my case. Thank you.
Finally, at the end of the competition, I call upon interjector code I02 to question A02. Code I02.
Good evening. My question is for code A02. There is a big stigma around people suffering from mental illness. They are often tagged as lunatics, crazy, possessed, and many more by the society. This leads to a vicious circle of shame. Do you think this is the reason why people overlook their mental wellness?
Thank you for the question. I had already stated in my debate that my argument is not about the calamities, and the premise that we are talking about is an extreme case. But nevertheless, I would still like to state that mental wellness is still holistic and is impacted by a lot of factors. Here, what you say is social branding. And we're talking about the cruelty behind a person's illness, let it be physical, mental, or however. Each person is branded by some labels socially, which leads to their mental wellness deteriorating. And I completely agree with that. This only aids to my argument, composing the fact that social wellness already impacts mental wellness, and social well-being is extremely important to mental well-being. When a person is branded to be whatever you say, lunatic or mad or crazy, it does impact their mental wellness. But there could be other reasons why they are branded so. If they could find out what they are and work on them, that would lead to their reduction of mental illness and their growth in social well-being. And to conclude, this just only furthers my argument that mental wellness does not override all other forms of well-being, as what we're talking about here is emotional and social well-being. If the person wants to strive to be the epitome of mental wellness, the person could just ignore society's comments and move on living however they are. This is the fundamental issue with mental wellness, which is that most of it is essentially hypocritical, as we want to coexist and at the same time do not care about all others' opinions about us. That is, in fact, technically impossible and practically impossible. And I think that hopefully answers your question.
Thank you, all the speakers. Knowing what to say is sense, when to say it is intelligence, how to say it is wisdom, why and how to say it is enlightenment. To guide and encourage all the extraordinarily talented participants, I now invite our esteemed judges to address us all. Dr. Rachel M. Silas, please, ma'am.
Good evening to my dear participants. Good evening to my dear participants and the virtual audience from DPS Patna, Pune, Ludhiana and Coimbatore. It was really an outstanding performance and your effort is greatly appreciated, very impressive, amazing, and I admire your creativity, your hard work, and the preparation has been exhibited through your incredible virtual performance. It was indeed a mastery of language, vocabulary, pause, expressions, and you students have really made the day. And what you said has really got me thinking, and it has really impressed me as well. Dear students, I would say you have been able to carve a niche for yourself on this day with your uncanny ability to showcase your talents. More than winning or losing, I feel your vibrant participatory effort really deserves special mention here. I wish these competitions or competitions of these sort really spur your moment and further you to achieve greater in life. And I could see talents of extraordinary drive and commitment to excel in each and every one of you. And your virtual participation, my dear students, speaks volumes about the caliber that each and every one of you have. Well, it was beyond the limit of excellence set for each one of you who are in classes 9, 10, and 11, as it was mentioned in the introductory part. And it was unique in your own way. And I think the memories you have created will really last long for me. And you deserve congratulations and cheers to each and every one of you too for greater achievements in the future. I would like to thank all the participants and I would like to thank DPS for giving me an opportunity to be part of DPS today. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable inputs. Next, I invite Ms. Pooja Dhawan to share her thoughts with us.
Thank you, ma'am. It was such a really delightful evening, I would say, and educative as well. because I feel that a little competition is a good thing and severe competition is a blessing. And being here as a judge today, it was like really commendable. I would like to really applaud all the participants for speaking so well, be it their vocabulary or the pronunciation or the way they have put across this particular topic, which was not actually easy. And what is the need of the hour is that basically we are finding that mental illness overrides all the other forms of wellness. So how they have portrayed it, a huge round of applause for all the speakers who were speaking for the motion as well as against the motion. It was a total sheer delight listening to them, these young speakers. And I'm sure that in the later part of the years, they would definitely emerge as the better people. And we really applaud their oratory skills and the way they have spoken here. And I also thank the management, the DPS, and I'm proud to be part of this. So I just wish all the very best to everyone here. And thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for your kind words, ma'am. I request Ms. Preeti Khanna to inspire the participants.
Thank you so much. First and foremost, let me place on record for an awesome evening, a very delightful time we have spent here online, and a round of applause for all the participants, and congratulations to all the teachers who have trained these children. As far as the participants were concerned, they all spoke with a lot of conviction, and it gives me great pleasure to say that yes, these are the future generations who will be taking up our country to on the roads of brighter future. And of course, this topic was a very, very relevant topic, especially after COVID. So the conviction that the children spoke with definitely says that they spoke from their heart. So congratulations all. And I would like to thank the DPS Takshila Society for giving me an opportunity to be part of this excellent evening. All the best to all the participants. All of you are winners. There's nobody coming first, second, and third. Of course, rankings are always there, but all of you are par excellence. Thank you so much, and God bless you all.
Thank you, dear ma'am. Finally, I call upon Dr. Nutan Chaudhary to enrich the audience with her words.
Thank you so much, ma'am. DPS is synonymous to quality. And when I say that, I actually mean it. I must congratulate all those participants. This won't be a cliche when I say that participation is what matters. Dear students, the teachers who have worked behind these wonderful students and their worthy parents, it was indeed supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Be it the relevant theme, the pronunciation, the diction, the confidence, the body language, and their overall presentation. It was indeed a pleasure being a part of this wonderful evening and listening to each one of them. I would quote here one of the shlokas from Bhagavad Gita, which says, not because Bhagavad Gita is just merely a sacred religious book, but because it teaches you life skills as well. Asanshayam mahabaho mano durnigraham chalam abhyasen tu kaunteya vairagyen cha grihiyate. Meaning, mind is actually at times is beyond our control. It is very difficult to control, but with practice and with a lot of detachment, we can undoubtedly have a victory over that as well. Saying that, I just put a full stop to my words for today. Wish you all the best, and congratulations DPS for conducting such a wonderful and successful program. Hats off to you guys, all those who are behind this program directly or indirectly.
Thank you, ma'am, for your encouraging words. Thank you all for your words of wisdom. I'm sure that our students will benefit immensely from them. It is said that it is better to debate a question without settling it than to settle a question without debating it. Today, we have done just that And we are thankful to the enthusiastic young debaters who took the floor with passion and conviction. But all good things come to an end. So this brilliant meet should conclude too. As we depart today, we do so with warm memories, rich learning experiences, and a longing to savor such rich cerebral moments next year too. I take this opportunity to extend my earnest thanks to our judges for sparing their valuable time to inspire us with their presence and sagacity. I also always thank all the parents for their unwavering support. I would fall short in my duty if I didn't mention the efforts of all our persevering participants who brought forth for us some divergent views on the topic and agreed to disagree with firmness and grace. And of course, deserving of my thanks are those students who were equally worthy and missed out on the finals by just a narrow mark. I'm sure they will grace and ace the contest next time. Thanks, one and all. Competitions teach us to unravel our potentials and marvel at the gems that these kind of platforms help us to discover. And I earnestly hope that we keep meeting on such platforms to bring out the best in each other. The most awaited part of this competition, the results, will be published shortly on the school website. With this, I, Suranjana Hazra, your host for the day, take your leave and wish you a